All right, hey, welcome back to the show. I'm Great Grandpa Beebe, and I'm here with my good friend. I'm sorry, I lost it again.
It's Lisa Klopfenstein.
Lisa Klopfenstein. Here we are. I've been talking nonstop all day here. We just got done with the last interview with Ryan Roof here, and now we're just on the other side of the table. If you've seen past episodes, that's where we are now.
The better side of the table. Yes.
Still here at Leadville, Colorado, and this is just got in on the train yesterday. Feeling pretty good. How you feeling, Lisa?
I'm doing it.
Still here?
Yeah, I'm still here doing it.
Your kid's over here being a cartoon.
Yeah.
And that's a good spot for a kid to be.
Yeah.
I think that's.
Yeah.
Possibilities are endless, limitless, potentialities happening, and so. I don't know. If I was to start this conversation, right?
Yeah.
Like I am. what kind of I guess creative outlets, or just an outlet that you would have for, because life happens to us.
Yeah.
I have my own thoughts and feelings about this, but what do you do about that when life happens to you, I guess? Or what would you like to do about that, maybe?
Or what have I done?
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, because it's happening, and life has happened to me. As far as outlet goes?
Sure.
Well, now I have a kid, so there's a lot of outlet in that in itself, but when I have time to myself, I like to paint, or snowboarding is my number one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That's my number one, nothing matters.
Yeah. I was completely taken aback on the drive here, too. I'd never been out this far into the Rockies. I took a train through to Denver once.
Yeah.
From San Francisco. But just driving through, it's been a while since I've seen anything this massive.
Yeah.
I felt like I was like a kid in a toy store. Every corner I would make around the road, I was like, whoa! And I was trying to stop myself from taking videos of everything on the road, because I'm also driving in the mountains,
Yeah.
I'm not used to driving in the mountains yet, but.
Yeah, that's the struggle for us all. Yeah.
So snowboarding is pretty epic.
Yeah, and it's that. It gives you those moments in time where you're just nothing. That's where you're at.
Yeah.
It gives me the feeling of really living.
Yeah. It's that in the moment feeling. What was it? Buddhism would call that the satori, kind of I've heard it said in if you're reading a book and you're completely in the moment of what the reader's saying,
right?
And it can bring you to this spot where you feel like you're falling into the book.
Yeah, it's complete clarity.
Yeah.
And because you're using your body, your mind, and for me, my spirit. It's all of it is just you're there, you're in it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and everything else kind of falls away. So that's my biggest.
I've never gone snowboarding before. I had kind of a tragic sledding accident as a child, or as an 18-year-old. I don't know if that's a child.
Yeah.
I was definitely acting like a child.
Yeah.
But I just decided to not do that anymore at fast rates of speed.
Yeah, that's the part I love the most.
Yeah.
Is the fast rates of speed.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. It's my fave. And there's so much to do with it too. You're in the woods, and
sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, even just the patterns of nature itself. I notice it a lot more when I'm traveling different locations where there's different types of ferns or trees. Or the
when you
vegetation
travel the
itself.
country and you see they're all the same, but they're not all the same.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah. What are the indigenous species here? I remember being in the redwoods and thinking I was going to be surrounded by dinosaurs at any moment. I don't know why I had that feeling, but just maybe it's just because the trees are so big and the foliage was so tropical in a sense to me.
Yeah.
I was
I love the redwoods.
Oh,
I love it.
Yeah.
They filmed Star Wars in the redwoods.
Yeah. I think that's where they filmed the Return of the Jedi. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. We probably grew up around the same time.
And that's what's cool about with snowboarding and skiing is you get to go, when you do that sport, you get to go places you might not normally get to go otherwise.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
I know there's other winter sports or maybe, but not in the same.
Yeah, because you can't do it locally, like in your house, right?
Yeah.
It's like you gotta. It's a destination.
Yeah.
And it's like the journey to get there, and then there's like a climax where you're like, you are like hitting that, and you're like going as fast as you are going to go, and like at that moment you're like, wow, okay, this is peak. This is peak.
Or
journey.
even just tucking into the woods and just sitting there, and it's like that, like real silence, because wintertime is a different quiet than like any other time. You know, like it just absorbs all sound or something, and you're just in there. You know.
And do you often go with other people?
I do both.
Okay.
Yeah,
just go
I enjoy
solo?
going alone too. Yeah, because that's how I recharge. Is my own time to myself. That quiet time.
Yeah, I feel it.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, I've never shot a podcast in a restaurant before, so to say, but like
I was like, the Silver Dollar? Okay.
It's been a great experience.
Yeah.
So, you know, like.
Well, this bar's got a lot of history, so it's cool.
Yeah, I can feel it, and like we were having conversations with other people across the way and all of this. And it's just like pretty fantastic. Yeah, I don't need much, but yeah, I appreciate it a lot. Thanks for letting us use the space too. Right on, yeah. Not too many Bloody Marys being served this morning on a Sunday. Yeah. Yeah, so, Leadville, and you like to paint. Do you paint like mountains and things too?
I like to paint. I started doing this thing where I take photos of me, and I haven't done this in a while because of the little man, but I used to go out with all my friends just on the hill and shred up there, you know, and we would take pictures, and I enjoy taking pictures of my friends taking pictures. I know that sounds really weird, or just like any photo of that sport that someone I know or myself has taken, and then taking that and making it into a painting is fun. But I do like a silhouette. I do like a weird, like hippie, like glow in the dark.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, bright colors and like their silhouette with a crazy background. And
I do know that style pretty well. Yeah. I have a few friends over in Tiffin that definitely.
Did they give this to you?
Got Spider-Man here, yes.
Did they give this to you to color? I think they did. This looks like, they did. Okay.
That's my house.
Oh, okay.
Got color.
You want to sit here and color?
No, you want to color.
Gotta draw outside the lines.
Oh, you want me to color? Okay.
It's activities, so true.
So, that's what I mean. I don't have this much time for myself and that type of stuff lately, and that was an adjustment in itself.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that
any kind of new responsibility, like.
Yeah, and there's a thing with becoming a mom where, and no one told me this. It's kind of you realize it once it's happened, but you don't know who you are anymore.
Yeah.
After you have a kid, all of a sudden everything's totally.
Yeah.
You know, like you kind of have to remember who you are.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big deal. You know?
I kind of had that feeling about it too, like where you like lose yourself, in a matter of speaking, like you're giving a lot of who you are into this direction of a new life.
Yeah.
And just kind of like facilitating that because you become like its medium or something, you know?
Yeah. You just wake up one day and you're like, I remember going out for the first time, like without him, and it's like you're looking around at the ground, like, because you think you're supposed to be watching somebody, and just social awkwardness and not really, it's a trip,
Not a trauma.
No, there was minor trauma. For sure, minor trauma.
Yeah. That's generally humans. That's how we interact with each other. It's like we traumatize each other on a general basis. Not to be
That's where growth comes from, right?
Yeah. Right. Like pruning a tree. Maybe,
yeah.
There's some branches over here. They don't need to be there anymore.
Minor traumas are good.
Yeah. Might call it change.
Yeah.
Call it like the constant like rolling of a snowball down the hill or something. You're like, wow, you're adding to me a lot too. Okay, cool.
That's cool. How long have you been doing this?
Really just since January.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I just started the whole, like that's when it started off, and I was like writing questions down in a notebook, and like interviews last like 20 minutes. I was like, well, that's all I got. I guess that's all we're gonna do. And then like I had a I had a breakthrough at one point, and I was just able to just keep talking. So I was like, oh, cool. I can do this. I can maybe do this. And then it started becoming a lot funner at that point.
Yeah, where it's not so like. Formal.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And just like what's a long form conversation, how many different avenues can you get into?
Yeah.
I feel alive a lot in it.
Why are you pushing me?
So you have to color.
Color?
Yeah, color my house.
Are you the color police?
No, color.
Okay, I'm coloring.
Color book.
I'm coloring. I don't want to get in trouble.
He's gonna start a monster about it.
He might. He yesterday, he was like, I want to go outside, so I let him go play in the backyard, and all of a sudden I heard him calling me, so I went to the door, and he made a wall of snow, so when I opened it, it would all fall in.
Yeah.
And then was just hitting me with snowballs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like,
So you build a.
Yeah, and he's not even 4 yet.
Yeah,
I'm like, I am screwed.
There's a brigade happening here.
Yeah.
It's like a whole. He's recruiting neighborhood kids.
Not yet, but to attack his mom. I hope not. Yeah.
We rustle the posse here soon.
Yeah. Oh God.
That's what the Wild West is all about, though. I mean, that's our roots out here.
The Wild West. He's gonna be 4 in December. Yeah. Hey, don't touch those.
Get big. Yeah. Yeah, once 3 happens, it starts getting fun.
The what?
Once 3 years happens.
Oh,
3
yeah.
years, yeah.
It's been a ride, for sure. He's very strong-willed. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it is good, but it's hard right now.
Yeah.
Because you have to try to steer them in a good direction with that will.
Yeah. For sure.
So.
Because what's beneficial about it, and also
yeah, he could be a leader one day.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
and boundaries are beneficial. You know.
I'm a mom.
But it's and we all figure out boundaries in our own lives.
Do we?
How much are we really in control?
Yeah.
I really don't know. I mean, I don't know what we're in control of and what we're not in control of sometimes. So that becomes kind of a...
Well, that's what I've learned as in all my many years. Yeah, that the only thing I can control is me.
Yeah.
You know?
Right?
Yeah.
The outside circumstances, life is just happening to you in a large way. I'm not in control of my heart or my organs at all.
Well, a little.
A little bit.
Yeah. With what you put in it.
Breathing, maybe.
Right, and how you treat it.
That's true too.
You know?
Yeah.
Did you change the oil on yourself?
Yeah.
That kind of,
Well, me and Ryan were just talking about, if I'm trying to come up with new ideas, it's up to me to feed ideas to myself. We have infinite amounts of knowledge at our disposal, but that's useless if we don't, have some kind of, boundary set up in a way. If I'm just studying the history of rock and roll stars all day, how far is that going to get me ahead of my goal? Maybe it will.
Right.
If my goal is to run a rock and roll museum, I don't know.
Right.
Everything has its, purpose in things. But there's like guilty habits. There's like, guilty pleasures, and like it's like, oh, this isn't serving me anymore.
Yeah.
Or,
or you give yourself a time limit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I have to. Time management's a big deal in my life right now.
I have a friend who limited their TikTok usage to an hour. They're like, I set a timer, and once that timer goes off, I stop.
Yeah, because that's one of those things you start doing it, and you're like, it's been 3 hours?
Yes.
What the heck?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing how addictive that is.
Yeah, I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Do that kind of stuff.
It's designed to make people have problems with it.
Yeah.
Like artificial intelligence is, I don't know all the ins and outs and what it is and what it's not necessarily. But
right.
I have feelings of what it is, and I know
I
that
got wings.
Oh, you got wings?
if I'm getting into new avenues, or if I'm trying to teach myself something new, like last summer, COVID hit, lockdown. I couldn't play music live anymore. So I just stopped playing music entirely at that point.
Yeah.
And I was
very
like,
dramatic almost. Like,
well,
it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was more of like a vacation.
Oh, okay.
And like I knew I'd come back eventually, but I was just stopping myself from playing music more or less too, because I didn't have to keep myself fresh. I didn't have to keep my chops up at all. And so I was like, let's do something different. I was like writing this whole like poetic book about economics and money at the time. And I stumbled upon this idea about this website. So then I was like, how about I learn how to code websites now? And so like my whole YouTube algorithm went to coding websites. Like all my feed became that,
Yeah.
And that naturally turned into like how you build computers. So my whole feed went to how do you build computers and components. And so then I stopped that and started building computers at that point, because I needed one anyway. And so I did that, and then I kind of got lost in the whole coding thing, because it's very intensive to try to code, programs like that.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know nothing about it.
But I learned that there is an AI system that can code websites for me. So I'm like, okay, so in 10 years, I'm just going to be able to tell this thing what to do.
Right.
And it's going to be exactly what I envision.
Right.
Rather than me being like in the trenches of this thing for 10 years, and then finally getting there, where 10 years later, I'm just going to be like, why did I do this to myself?
Yeah.
So that's why I stopped. That's mainly.
Yeah.
I'm like, I felt like a smart strategy at the time, Yeah. So I don't know. I'm interested in it. I think it's.
Yeah.
It's changing the world in a lot of aspects.
My brother's really into all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think, I have 3 brothers, so we're all very different.
Oh, right on.
So
Yeah.
we all have our thing, Yeah. That's it.
That's kind of how people react in close quarters.
Yeah.
If you're in a small town, or if you're in a family unit for a long period of time, like people will take on specific roles, inside the dynamics of like a small group, Like this guy's taking on the dynamics of being, I want attention because no one's giving me attention right now, right? Like.
Where do you want? You want to sit here? Well, you keep sliding off.
Hey, sir, what's your name?
What's your name? Look.
Jack.
You're on the camera. You're on the TV show.
You're on a TV show. You're going to be on the TV. You want my phone? Sorry.
It happens. Life keeps happening to us.
Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of over that part.
Yeah.
The life happening to us. I'm like, okay. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
So this happened today.
It's
Kind of
like,
thing,
it feels like riding a snowboard or riding a wave or a surfboard. There's waves of things that happen.
For sure, like when it rains, it pours, and then.
I'm going to continue.
Hey, can you stop screaming, please? Thank you.
it's like you got to continue going in a speed and direction.
Yeah.
But you're like just course correcting.
Yeah. Totally. I used to freak out anytime anything would, go wrong. I would just like break down, and now that's just exhausting. So it's better to just be like, okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Or
give myself the moment if it's a really big deal. Like give myself the moment, but limit it.
Right.
To that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Because you've seen those patterns happen before.
Right.
And in the past, I mean, it can completely destroy you for that day or for that week.
Right.
Even like a month.
Right. Or even, and then all of a sudden everything's okay. So it's like, what was all that energy for?
Yeah, exactly. How can I control my own depression or anxiety or just worry or because when you putting that self on you, you're inventing more problems that don't really exist at that point.
Yeah.
And so why am I inventing those problems when I could be inventing solutions? If I could be calm, if I could take the moment to see the field, so to say, then you can see options. But if you're going backwards and ruminating on these past decisions or actions or happenings, you're stifling yourself. Or in the other, if you're looking too far forward, you're like, oh well, this person's gonna say this or this person's thinking this, and you don't know that. And it completely stifles how you're gonna play that game or how you're gonna strategize. Because it's like the world's imaginary in that respect. Because if I'm giving myself options, I'm physically doing that. I'm just making them up out of thin air. But if I'm saying, oh, this person hates me, so I'm gonna walk on eggshells around them, and then that in turn, it's like, why are they walking on eggshells around me? They have no idea why you're doing that. And then, so that creates an entire dynamic,
Yeah. Living in the now.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the free from fear kind of thing. Yeah.
Because fear is...
I've done all of that. Trying not to... And I mean, it's wise to, not live the same thing over and over and over and try not to make the same mistakes and all that. That's just wisdom, but...
It's easy to be reactionary.
The overly cautious thinking you're being wise is different, Yeah.
But being reactionary is easy to do. And it's harder just to pause, like you're saying.
Yeah. Well, we all have triggers, I guess is the way.
That's true. That's true.
We all have things where if this happens,
it's gonna completely shut you down.
Yeah. Exactly.
I've had that the last 2 days, really heavy. And it's like I'm talking about it. I'm physically objectifying my own mindset, But it's still completely shut me down. And I went in it was I was on a train. I had a phone conversation with my buddy, and we started getting into this area where I'm real sensitive about, and I started getting feverish and a little bit shaky and almost sick to my stomach. And I was like, hey dude, let's just change the subject, man. I'm really not there with this right now, and I don't want to be here with this, and I'm gonna talk to you later. And then it happened here in town. I was over, there was band practice or whatever, and two guys were talking about the same idea. And the same thing, exactly the same thing happened to me. And I was just like, oh shit, I felt hot, I felt physically feverish and sick to my stomach. It's the exact same thing happened,
Yeah.
And so I was writing about it later. I'm like, God, I need to get control of this,
Yeah, but how do you handle it when that moment happens,
because I was shut down, but I didn't try to overcompensate or try to answer it. I tried to let it be with me and look at it. What is really happening in me right now? It's just past trauma. It's just
for me, it depends on what it is and if I can get out of the situation. Step away for a minute and just kind of try to focus myself. That's always good, but that's not always possible to get out of the situation. Run every time. Do you want to go with your new babysitter, Ryan? Look it, there he is.
Oh man, Ryan's having fun.
He
over
wants
there,
to play with you.
I wish I was over there, man. I like your hat, by the way.
Thanks. All day, every day.
All day, every day.
What is that? I've seen those like TikToks where the guys like flip their hat around and then they look really hot all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it works the same for a girl because we turn it and then all of our hair just like.
It does.
Yeah, it just goes right
just
here.
Tell you right
yeah.
Now, yeah. Yeah. TikTok has changed frames of references for me as well.
I don't even have TikTok. I like see them on like Facebook from time to time. Because I'm like, listen, I've already got enough problems with like things that take up my time that shouldn't,
Yeah.
So I'm like,
And then there's the whole, I was watching like a video about how the Chinese government's like taking all of our information. And I'm like, okay, well how's that different than Facebook doing the same exact thing?
And what information?
Right, yeah, exactly.
I have never felt, okay, there's been maybe 1 or 2 minutes of TikTok videos where I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Or it's like, did you know you're supposed to be using this like this whole time? Those videos, I'm like, oh shit, you know, I'll do that now, but.
No one's ever foiled my plot to bomb the White House so far.
Yeah.
Not yet. It hasn't happened.
That's good. That's my point. It's like nobody has anything that.
Yeah, exactly.
TikTok, they're dancing.
Yeah, right?
Like,
Yeah, exactly. My feed is completely opposite than that, though.
Yeah.
And that's what they were saying, though, in that video. It's like Chinese government is giving the American people unmasculated ideas on TikTok to create a less violent people, and so that if we go to war, they'll just steamroll all of us and all this shit. Meanwhile, there's like beer and football commercials happening over our heads on a nearly 24-hour basis.
Yeah.
So it's like, take it with a grain of salt. Plus, that's not what
I mean, if that was their goal, it's going to take a really long. They're playing the long game.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah,
they really are.
Like that's
because they're like
a lot of evolution needs to happen there.
TikTok feeds are just girls shaking their ass or whatever, and it's like, yeah, well maybe, but that's not what my feed is at all. Like that, like my feed is like a bunch of like leftist socialist people and like people like history teachers.
Yeah.
And like all of these things, and I'm like, oh, I learned what the Madison Compromise was today because of TikTok. I'm like, okay, cool, but like my feed isn't like proactively destroying my masculinity.
Right.
Like, and I know that because I flip over and I look at it and I'm like, it's not. Okay, cool.
Well, the funny thing is like then on TikTok you see all these other things that are the complete opposite of what you're talking about, the masculinity thing. It's like they're totally, you know what I mean? It's like just people.
Yeah, that's true too. And is the world becoming less violent overall? I would say yes. I would say that's what they want you to think. I think, maybe not physically, like we're not going into war, but like there's stuff happening that we don't even hear about and know about. That's incredibly violent. Yeah, that's true too. But I would say a lot of that's predicated on oil and money, and it's like our traditional stories that are being proactively violent against us. It's like our traditions and our way of life and our culture have had adverse effects on us. But I think on a whole as a people, the population of the world is so much greater, and the amount of violence is so much less of a percentage.
Right.
On a whole.
Yeah. Or you mean the number of deaths is a lot less when it comes to violence?
I would say that it is, percentage-wise.
Yeah.
Like in this bar, like historically speaking, people like Doc Holliday would, have duels out in front of in the street, you know, or even in front of the White House that would happen, or
Right, but is that because we as a people are getting better, or is that because we as a people are being watched more and can't get away with it?
I mean, if someone wants to shoot someone, I don't think they're going to care.
No, I know, but I would think that more people would be like, not like me or you, like, do you know what I'm saying? But if, like, imagine today, if there were no cameras and not as big of a, like, there's not as big of a punishment or whatever.
Right.
If you went out in the street and dueled.
Right. Yeah.
Like, if it was, so I just wonder, like, if all the rules were dropped, would we be less violent people, or would we just be, or would we revert?
What is the real reason why I would want to shoot somebody? Okay, and I think it's a large sense of honor. It's a large sense of pride.
Right.
And like in Japanese culture, even today, there's still a large sense of honor for your like family. Yep. Really good.
Thank you.
Like it's a large sense of pride and a large sense of honor. And for if I dishonor my family, then I'll commit hara-kiri and kill myself with a sword.
Right.
Right. Whereas that isn't as big of a chip on our shoulder nowadays. Like
right.
we act in American culture as very independent and very individualistic too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, if I dishonor myself, that isn't going to reflect on my family at all.
True.
It's because it's like solely on you, and that can destroy a person in ways. People can just fall into a bottle and drink themselves to death or whatever too.
Right.
But I think that, at least in our culture, there isn't like this sense of like defending my honor of my country, family, town, whatever it is group that I'm involved with. I mean, gangs are probably like that, but gangs are few and far between. At least like from what I've seen, I guess.
Right.
They still exist for sure.
Yeah, and I think it just depends on what part of America you're in.
And that would, I think that would directly tie in with our laws, because a lot of those gangs are predicated on black markets that are invented by our drug laws. If all drugs were legal and you could buy them at the pharmacy with a card or with a prescription or with like things like that deletes the black market on a large scale, and it deletes a lot of the gang activity.
Yeah, it kind of reminds. I just watched this docu-series thing. I was watching it last night, and it's called Murder Mountain.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a Humboldt County. It's like about.
Oh, I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about that. There's a part of there where it's like there's no law.
Wow.
Murder Mountain. It's like the cops don't want to go there. Nobody wants to go there.
Okay.
It's like, and it's kind of like that, where they all just ride around with guns, and it's violent and lawless. Yeah.
Wow.
But I've always wondered. I'm like, if everything, we woke up and everything was totally different tomorrow.
Yeah.
Would all these things we think be the same about like society now, or would like a lot of our primal instincts come out a lot easier? Like those social experiments kind of thing,
Yeah, and when you as soon as you say social experiment, right?
Yeah.
You got to think, what is the story of our society? What's the story of our culture?
Right.
And it's a big mythology. It's like we predicate a lot of what we do based off of like, oh well, the universe was invented and there was like a big bang, and then billions of years later, boom, we evolved, and that's the story of creation. And it climaxes and pinnacles at the point where we come in. Like, we're the purpose of the universe, apparently.
Right.
Are we? I don't know, but that's what we tell ourselves, right?
Right.
We are essentially the gods of this story.
Well, we need, like, most people need that. To keep
like
going.
The ego trip alive?
Yeah, because I feel like versus an animal, right, where they just do what they do because that's what they were made to do. It's like, I guess we do as well, but we were made to overthink and like just kind of like instead of accepting what we are, we're like we like challenge what we are more. So I guess I don't know if I'm saying that well.
Consciousness is weird.
Yeah.
Like, animals are cool because they're just living in the boundaries of the system.
Yeah, right? I find myself jealous of that sometimes. Yeah.
Whereas we are like actively attempting to invent new boundaries for ourselves.
Right.
And for the world, really. Like, we're in control of the earth. We took it over. And we're just like...
So it must all be about us.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And like, even in like Galileo's day, he's like, I got a telescope now, and actually we revolve around the sun. And the church is like, excommunication.
Yeah.
You need to leave the fictional story structure of what we call a church, and you aren't allowed to come back. You aren't allowed in our story heaven that we invented. It's like, okay, cool, but we revolve around the sun. You know that, right? And then it's become and that's like kind of like an egocentric, like we're the center of the
That's
universe.
what I was gonna say. I'm like, we just have giant egos, and it's like our downfall, essentially.
And when you say, well, you're threatening our way of life and the way that we built society, you're saying essentially that we have very fragile egos about what our story structure is. Maybe it's not as solid as we once previously thought it was.
Right.
And I am fragile and concerned about like what my life decisions have been up to this point because of that. I don't know. It runs deep. I purposely run this podcast into the weeds.
Yeah.
If you haven't noticed.
Yeah. I know we were talking, and I'm like, I could go this way, I could go that way.
Yeah. Exactly. That's my mode of operandi when I run this, by the way. That's my comfort zone, so to say. I like things when they're heavy. I didn't know that there was books that weren't heavy until like I got my mom a book where it was like Huxley and God, where it was like the perennial philosophy of like putting together all the major religions into like one book and finding their points of sameness, And like I was like, Mom, you need to read this. This is like completely eye-opening. She's like, well, I read this book that's about fictional narratives in Amish communities. I was like, yeah, like, why would you do that though? Like,
that's like me. I'm like your mom. I might even be worse though because I'm like, oh, teen novel. It's got to be like, I'm like, this is supposed to be like some. I mean, I know like. I don't know. Like, I'd rather read it, like, articles or, like, maybe kind of go down a rabbit hole of something. But when I'm reading, I want it to be, like, a very, like, relaxing, like...
Exactly.
Maybe I'm lazy. I don't know. I don't want to have to think. Like, I need it to shut me down.
Different people use reading for different reasons, It's different... You come to it for a different reason, And you're like, oh, wow, this is going to be great. If I just sit down, have a cup of tea, read this book, and everything's going to be great in the world. I listen to it rain against the roof of the house, and like, perfect spot to be,
Yeah.
And I understand that side of it, because I do that too.
Yeah.
But, like, growing up, like, all through my 20s, I would read nonstop, just like Aldous Huxley or George Orwell or whoever wrote Catcher in the Rye.
What's his name?
Yeah. I'm like,
it's gonna bother me until I know.
It's a name. Holden Caulfield?
Holden Caulfield? Caulfield? Something like that. Now I'm confused.
Yeah. I just remember it because that's what my buddy used to call a bag of weed. And like he's just like, I'm Holden Caulfield, bro.
That's really funny. That's awesome.
I got a Satchel Paige for you.
Did they ban that book?
Yeah.
Was that one of the bans?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of strong.
I remember reading that in school. What the heck? Yeah. I know why they did, but trying to change history or change stuff is not smart.
I tell you how I came upon that book it's kind of a funny story, but being a wild teenager kid as I was, and like being arrested, I think I was like 20 or something, got like an underage and had to go to like drug counseling. Well, I had to go to alcohol counseling, and then I failed the drug test for weed. And then so they put me in the drug counseling class where I made friends with this like junkie who was really my favorite person in that whole class. Like his stories were so epically, like as a 20-year-old, he's just like, every day I'd come in, he'd be like, damn man, this one time I almost died. I was like wasted, and then like I was also high, and then like I hit like all these parked cars, and then like, yo. Oh yeah. He's like, I woke up and like there's just like blood squirting out, and I just passed right back out, man. And then like I woke up in the hospital and they just barely saved my life and all this. And like that's what his stories are generally about.
I feel like traumatized.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, say more.
Or grateful for my own life.
it really affected
Not doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, all of his stories affected my life greatly from that time point on. Because I used to smoke weed every day at that point, and then I just stopped. I never really bought a bag of weed since then. And I mean, maybe a couple times here and there, I still smoke like once a week or something like that.
Yeah.
But the whole mentality that he was on was kind of like, maybe a trajectory that I didn't think about that I might have been on, where he's just like, I mean, it sounds fun. It sounds like a blast when he's telling these stories. But I would always come into class every day with Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, the book, and just be reading that. And then he's like, dude, read Cold and Coldfield, read 1984.
So he lifted you up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah, and he really did. The drug counselor didn't know what they were like. She said the greatest day in that whole class was like, all right, we're gonna go around the table and we're gonna discuss a time that you were on drugs. And so everyone was just psyched about this idea. We're like, oh man, this one time, right? We're going to New York City. We're all on ecstasy. It's New Year's Eve, and we're just like. And that was a round table discussion of great times that we all had. And it's I don't see how this is productive in the class, but we're having a great time.
What's funny to me about that kind of stuff, especially is you're just introducing those people to more people to get more of it.
Yes.
You're not. Most of these people are probably not taking this seriously. They're just doing it because they have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we're all court-ordered,
That's what my point is. It's you just introduce.
Yeah. And I mean, it was a blast. That whole class was a lot of fun, but it definitely.
Yeah, but court-ordered classes are probably not supposed to be a lot of fun. You know what I mean?
I may be a weirdo. I just objectively looked at everybody. I was just
I know what
I'm
you
not
mean.
Gonna do this,
I just mean.
But I also find it hilarious.
Yeah. I'm just saying it
definitely scared me away from a lot of drugs and scared me away from living a certain lifestyle after that point.
Yeah.
In that way, it worked perfectly for me.
Yeah. For me, I still smoke weed every now and then.
Yeah.
So Mama's nicer.
Yeah.
When I feel like I'm gonna get to a breaking point.
It's good for reflection. It's good for
I used to be like you every day, but now it's once a month,
that was
maybe
up
if I
until
remember that I should do this. That's
it's
kind of
Let me preface, it's been about 18 years since I've smoked weed every day. So after 18 years ago, I was just I don't buy weed anymore.
Oh yeah.
So there's that. But I'm a musician, so I've still been around it.
Yeah.
I'm in its orbit, I guess. But I'm not orbiting it anymore.
Fair enough. Yeah, same for me. I mean, not 18 years ago. Mine's
That's a good
more
spot. That's a good spot to be.
Might have been more 5 years ago when I got pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah, this where I totally chilled out.
Some kind of a life experience happens to you.
Yeah.
You evaluate, what your priorities are.
Well, it's just kind of I don't you grow up maybe because it's I don't need to smoke weed to do this thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't need to smoke weed to vacuum today.
Yeah, right. Really makes me want to clean.
I mean, it was
though.
really fun
that's your
as a
excuse,
kid.
for sure.
When you're a young adult, it was for me. It was really really fun.
Oh yeah, I definitely still do that from time to time. But
and I think maybe a little bit for me is well, it's legal now, so it's not as fun.
Yeah, exactly.
I know it sounds part of me likes to be a little bit of an outlaw, though.
Right.
So,
That's how we That's how we build societies too, in a lot of ways. Alan Watts, you familiar with that cat?
Yeah, a little bit. I kind of
The way that he talked about how adolescent people like to rebel, right?
Yeah.
And so how as a society do we allow them to rebel without affecting our society that we built and how do we keep things as normal without and have them believe that they're rebelling the whole time,
Oh, yeah.
And so the early church just told people that sex was really bad and masturbation would send you to hell and all these things. They just figured they would do it anyway, so they felt like they were being bad.
Right.
And
that's messed up.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like they're using like this weird reverse psychology. It's like, hey kid, don't mess up what we built. But just, we're going to tell you that you're, levels of like,
right, so you're not just going and like burning down the government.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like
essentially, that's,
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
Which, I mean, could be
kind of mad.
A good idea.
Yeah.
It could be a slightly
let's just burn it all down.
Yeah.
Let's just burn it all down. Start over.
Yeah, exactly. We were all kids once. We all know anarchy. Wants to feel
I
like...
still have it.
Yeah, definitely.
I've just had to push it down. It's like, I'm a mom now,
Yeah.
That's why I tell my brother when I get in his car, I'm like, all right, I need to live. I'm a mom.
Yeah.
Drive safe. Because he has a Beamer and he drives like a psycho, and I'm like, I'm a mom now, dude.
Yeah.
You gotta drive safe. Yeah.
There's like a turning point in life where you have to do something for self-preservation.
Yeah.
Not only do you worry about other people a little bit more, but you're just like, man, like, what if I'm on the road with these other cretins that are just like belligerent and just
for sure.
kamikaze piloting their automobile against me right now, and I'm just like, that's a little scary, like, and it is,
Yeah.
When you're the one doing it, it's not scary.
Yeah.
Because you're the one that's doing it.
Right.
You're like, I'm invincible, and like, you're just on the road. I don't know, but been there.
Yeah, self-interest has not really been in my strong suit. It's like something I'm working on. Like, like I think my kid has helped me kind of like break that not giving a shit at all.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like where I just make bad choices. I'm like, like it'll work out eventually, and it doesn't, and then it's like really bad, and like so like now there's I have a little bit of a curve. It's like bumper bowling.
Right.
Yeah.
There you
Now
go,
I have a little
there
bit
you
of that until I learn how to bowl correctly.
Yeah.
So that's helping me kind of. Oh man, maybe I should care. Like like
just
where you see the good result. Kind of like where you see the good result, and you're like, oh. Yeah, like a surprise.
Definitely.
Even though everyone's told you.
Yeah. For years and years, and that's where we realized time is circular, because same lessons keep coming. Like, okay, I failed, 15 times this already. Well, I'm gonna get wise to this one day.
Yeah.
One of these days, I'm gonna get wise to this whole mechanism. And then you level up.
Yeah. Hopefully, beat the next boss.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Life's a trip.
It really is.
Yeah. I'm kind of in like a really mellow place right now where it's very routine, go to work, because I have a little person. So
riding that line.
There's not it's weird because I know like Rachel is the reason we are talking. Like.
Oh right, yeah. Right.
And she knew wild me.
Oh yeah.
And then she left, and then I had a baby.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So she's never known like this Lisa. She knows like walk into a room and be like, "Hey everybody!"
Yeah, for sure.
Out of control. Just So I was like, "Oh, okay."
I think I was around 32 when I met Rachel. Somewhere around there.
All right.
So I still had some wildness left in me. Like I still do in a way. This is far enough into the podcast where no one will listen to this far, right? But I got arrested with a drunken disorderly a month ago, probably.
Oh, okay. Fun.
So I might still be there in some respects.
Yeah, fun.
I didn't realize I had it in me.
I know I have it in me.
Yeah.
My problem is I just don't want the party to end. Like I'm like good.
Yeah.
Don't care about it until then I go to this wherever I go, and I just don't want it to be over ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because drinking becomes its own energy drink at that point too, and it just puts you.
Yeah, like maybe the next day when I wake up, I'm like I don't ever want to do that again. But like while I'm awake,
I don't get tired. I don't get tired when I'm drinking.
It's a fun thing for me. I'm not addicted to the alcohol, really.
Yeah.
It's like I'm addicted to the fun time.
Right. Yeah, for
That's
sure.
the part that I'm
just
like.
want to keep it going.
Yeah, and I just want everybody to laugh and have a good time. So it's hard for me to like.
It's fun,
turn
and then
it
you become
off.
kind of a life of the party at that point.
Yeah.
It's like I'm saying some stupid shit, and this is working
I never say stupid.
Not that you're gonna admit on tape right now.
Or that I know that I'm saying. Maybe everybody's just too nice to tell me.
Right, right, yeah.
That's probably it.
See, no one tells me that I'm saying stupid shit, but I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, have you ever been to town before? They got like stop signs and mustard in town. It's crazy shit. It's like, you should go. You should go. You should totally go sometime. Town's wild. It takes a couple days to get there, but it's like totally worth it.
That's awesome.
Oh god. Yeah, just stupid. Just stupid. Yeah, it sounds like your son's getting a piano lesson back there.
No,
he's teaching.
Throwing some kind of board game over there on the stage. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
That's great.
My little jackalope. Call him Lope Dog.
Last time I saw a jackalope was on the cover of an album by Steve Holtz.
Oh yeah?
He's a folk singer-songwriter has an amazing amount of energy for a man who's like 60 years old, right?
Yeah.
He's like standing on tables doing yoga while playing guitar with really long white hair and standing on one leg and like singing about the craziest shit, telling people, the fuck cancer needs to fuck off and like, I don't know.
Life goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say I have been on stage with him playing washboard and singing along songs with him. One time I was on stage with him with a pumpkin, right? But he tours all around the country. He's from San Diego. I've only seen him like 3 times, but 2 of those times I got to play with him, so I was like really proud of myself. Or well, I wasn't the facilitator of that happening necessarily, but like it happened and I was there for it.
Yeah, that's always great when stuff happens and it just happens. Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah. He's a force of nature. His claim to fame is he wrote a couple songs for Jewel on her first album back in the 90s or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all of his other songs are fantastic.
Oh,
too.
Jewel.
Yeah, right.
I remember my friend had this poster of Jewel where it's like her boobies are out and about. And she goes, that's my dad's favorite poster I have. And now I'm an adult, and at the time I was like, oh, okay, because you're a kid, you know? I'm like, now I'm an adult, and I'm like, that's fucked up. She even knew that.
Yeah, like
it's
her
okay
dad's
if it's
there,
her
like,
favorite.
I like that poster, kid.
Yeah, that's the part I was like, that's messed up that she knew that was her dad's
like,
favorite.
He doesn't even know her music. He's just like, nice poster.
Yeah. My parents never would have let me have that poster.
A little bit. It's a little cringy. You know, like the world's changed a lot in 15 years too, you know?
Yeah.
Movies from 2005 are completely sexist and homophobic in a lot of ways.
Yeah, they actually really are. I saw something and I was like, wow, that would never be able to be made now.
Yeah, and like
ever.
2005 doesn't seem that long ago.
No, because it's not.
No, it's not at all.
I mean, but it is. That's just so weird.
I know.
It's something about like.
Yeah.
I don't know why like. The 70s to like the 90s felt like that was so long. Maybe because of my age.
Yeah.
Experience with time. Perception of time.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, and as a kid.
Because I was born in '86, and I hear about the 70s. I was, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I'm 83.
So long ago. Yeah, you're 83?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like a hop, skip, and a jump to the 70s, but even like me being born 4 years later from the 70s, it's like 70s was way before my time.
Yeah.
Like it was
so
like
weird.
an entirely different mode, you know.
Yeah.
By the time I was a kid, we're listening to Michael Jackson and Madonna and like the Cars. Weird 80s music was happening that was completely changing synthesizers and weird drum machines and things
I had to hide my secular music.
Nice.
Because I was very my family was very Christian, religious, had to listen to. Funniest thing ever was my brother told me, I listen to Christian techno. I'm like,
wow.
What does that mean? Because I didn't think there was very many words in techno. You know what I mean? Like, difference does it make? Yeah. Yeah, that's why it's so like, it was like, I remember looking at it being like, what are you talking about?
It makes me look at Jesus in an entirely different formation.
It was weird.
Do what you do to others.
Yeah.
You would do yourself.
Yeah.
I really like this techno song. I think this needs to happen. Just put the golden rule.
Let me know if it does, because I'll just tell my brother, be like, yo, some new Christian techno came out.
I'm just dropping it.
Yeah.
Just letting you guys know ahead of time. That's my new jam.
Yeah. Is
That's
techno
hilarious.
different than like EDM? Yeah, right?
Yeah, well, techno's 90s. I would
Right,
say.
I know, but like, is techno like the evolution to that?
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
There's a
yeah,
lot.
I don't know much about all
It
that. I'm not
surprised
really
me.
into like that.
I researched it recently. There's a lot of forms of techno from the 90s to now.
Yeah.
And they've had whole movements of synth-based, drum machine-based, like
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really
House music.
I mean, like if I go somewhere and it's playing, I can like appreciate mostly everything.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. There's a few things where I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do it.
Sample-based beats, like but house music, like Daft Punk came from house type stuff.
Yeah, and I don't think that, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think dubstep was considered house EDM when they first started. I think they were called techno.
Probably.
Yeah, like I don't know.
There is somebody who's
Good. How are you?
Doing all right.
There's somebody who knows way more about this than either of us, for sure.
Right. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert.
Yeah, but there's.
I mean, I can if you want.
What is a modular synthesizer?
Oh God.
How do you hook a resonant filter to an LFO?
Never mind. Give me a different subject. I'll pretend. I'm good. I'm just sipping. Thank you.
Wow.
Look at the kids playing over there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Living the good life.
Yeah.
This is a really cool town too. Like I
It's
drove
really
through it.
cool. The nightlife in the summertime is the best.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun in the winter too, but
Yeah.
something about there's a few, full moon. We're definitely all affected by the moon here.
Yeah.
I've noticed it.
Nice.
Those full moon nights.
You're a little bit closer to the moon.
Yeah, those full moon nights. I mean, you just like can hear. Yeah, I don't go out very often, but I can hear people howling out. I mean, it's just like people shooting off their guns in their backyard, and just a lot of that.
Sounds a lot like Akron, actually.
Oh yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, but different. I'm guessing.
Probably
actually.
true. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
It's more of an aggressive shooting.
Yeah, this is more of like I'm free and wild.
Yeah.
Oh,
Different types of shooting into the air. So
Yeah. Yeah, this is, or just some old drunk guy on his back porch, just. Yeah. There's a
So
lot.
I heard there's a town motto that's. What
Oh
was
yeah, we're all here because we're not all there.
that? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Not exactly all there, but we all are here.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm coming up on my 7 years in Leadville, which is nuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. Where are you from originally?
I used to tell people the earth, because I've moved a lot.
Yeah.
But I was born in Whittier, California.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like LA suburb area.
Yeah.
And then lived in Michigan and lived in Aruba for a while when I was little.
Right on. Huh.
Yeah, and then Colorado.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
yeah, been here for
That's a good smattering of like
20 years.
completely-
Been in Colorado 20 years.
Yeah.
So,
Completely different kind of cultures, mentalities in those places, I'm sure.
yeah, I was just thinking about this is weird. I lived in Aruba when I was really little, and I was talking to my mom. I was like, I remember my 4th birthday like perfectly. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I do. Remember it perfectly.
Yeah.
When they took me to McDonald's, and the people at McDonald's sang me happy birthday, I thought I was famous.
Nice.
I thought I was like everybody on the planet knew it was my birthday.
That's awesome.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because I
That's
just
fantastic.
think it's like a reflective thing because he's turning 4. You know, so I'm
Yeah.
like, think about like what was it like for me
Wonder-
when I was 4?
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
try to
for
like
sure.
cater to that if I can remember
Go back and
that
start-
life feeling for myself. Try to like try to
Going
remember
back
the
and-
mindset of a 4-year-old. Yeah.
Starting to put the pieces back together.
Yeah.
What happened that fateful day?
Yeah.
It was my birthday, so I could get away with anything.
Yeah, I thought so.
I found this jar of cherries in the fridge, and I gave them to all the kids. And there was a lot of whiskey in those cherries, and they all got drunk.
Oh my God.
That's funny.
I was a 4th of July baby, so I just always thought
Oh, wow. Okay.
the whole country was celebrating that. My dad told me that.
Wow, that's epic. Yeah.
My dad told me that. All those fireworks are for you, you know.
Yeah.
And when you're little, you're like, they are? You know?
Yeah.
It gives you a complex. I met like a few different people
Yeah.
I met multiple 4th of July. We just like find each other. I don't know if it's like a cancer thing or what.
Right, yeah.
We like find each other and we're like, realize that we all have had that problem. Yeah.
And there's a parade.
Yeah.
It's a weird, like, why are they celebrating? Like,
you don't know.
There's this, like, invisible entity that could be anything.
Yeah.
And so you just attribute it to whatever anybody tells you.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, this is for me. Yeah. It's very easy to fall into that. So.
Mind if I take a break real quick?
Oh, you're good. We've been talking for a while.
I know, right?
I feel bad because Ryan's still watching my child.
Still there.